All right, guys, we are going to go back into something that we talked about last class, which is this Johari window. I think that it's going to be kind of fun. It will give us an opportunity to perhaps learn some things about ourselves. You know, we will self-assess to a degree, and then we'll get an idea of what other people may kind of think of us as well, and we can learn from that also. This is something that, although it's in the assessment class, it might be something that you could use at some point just as kind of a different type of activity, maybe if you want to stimulate thinking, interaction, things like that. So it would also not have been a bad thing to use in 372, but we're going to do this for now in this class. I may put it in 372 moving forward, because this is not really something that you would use as an assessment per se for necessarily placing your therapeutic clients in groups or something like that. We will cover that. Taking the roll. Everybody good on the aquatics assignment? Hopefully everyone has gotten the sheet and looked over and know the time frame and all that good stuff. And Julie is even going to possibly do the grading on it, and I hear she is a total hard ass, so y'all better do a good job on it. Just saying. What else? Next thing I want to do, we're going to have next Tuesday, I'm giving y'all a heads up and the weekend to think about it. I'm going to bring in test number 2 for abbreviations. We'll do abbreviation test 2. You should still have that stuff kind of sort of stored up there. If you don't, study those abbreviations. Deshaun, those are the ones I went over on that sheet and we marked in my office that day. What else? That's about it for what is coming up. I do want to go over one other thing, and I'm going to share my screen. And for those of you who are in here for 372, you're going to get to hear this again. So if y'all screw up this little assignment, you're in trouble. But you won't. I'm sure of it. So I'm going to go here to content, and I've added a one more thing for you guys to do. Reminder, due on March 22nd is the assessment of choice and write-up. That's your video where you're going to introduce yourself, get permission to do an assessment, conduct the assessment, then you can cut the thing. You don't have to sit there and video yourself scoring it for 10 minutes. You know, cut the video, score it, come up with a score for the assessment that you do. Choose one that you like and have the person that you're assessing maybe have something specific that they're dealing with, whether it's Parkinson's or Down syndrome or, you know, anything. That sometimes will make it, I mean, don't do your little brother an assessment and have them 100% on everything and don't need any recreation therapy intervention. We watched one of those videos in class one day and it was honestly kind of useless. So make them have something to play along with their answers for the assessment you find. Do the video, and then much like those of y'all that are in 372, much like that one, tell me at the end, number 1, you're going to tell us the score, how you scored it. Tell them what it means, kind of what they can take from it and why you did it. And then tell me how you think it went. Were you smooth on presentation and performing the assessment? It can be an assessment where it is paper-based and you're just asking questions and making check marks. It can be assessment, whether it can be a physical-based assessment where, you know, I just want you to do an assessment that is can be tied into recreation therapy. It's up to you to find it, video it, and just follow those instructions that are on here. Also, I added this today because it's going to be helpful for me. It's going to be helpful for the therapeutic rec program. Isabella, you've seen this before, I do believe, from 473. We did this, and you cannot use the same two that you did in that class. Huh? If they have a CTRS. Okay. That may be a good spot, and it may be a good way to put your foot in the door, or our foot in the door, at maybe getting some students out there. But anyway, all it is, for those of y'all who weren't in here, you're going to find two sites. There's a couple reasons I wanted you to do this. I want you to remember that networking is important, and not being shy about reaching out and finding out questions to answers are important, and realize that not everything is just going to be handed to you. So, you know, when it's time for an internship, the best thing for you to do is to find a place that you would actually see yourself liking to work. Because if you go in there and you knock it out of the park, you might get a job there. And it's you want it to be at a place you like, you know, location as far as geographically, possibly. So it doesn't have to be right here in Mississippi. It doesn't have to be close. It could be in Alaska. I don't care where it is, as long as they have a CTRS on staff and they will do CTRS internships. So find two sites that provide therapeutic recreation services. Find out, you may have to actually email or call to get this answer, to find out whether they have a CTRS employed on staff, and whether or not they accept interns. That's important because I'm trying to use this to build up our database to help students at least have, it's much harder to find CTRS internships than it is sport and rec internships. There's, you know, you can do those at so many places. I don't give them any help at all. Basically, I say, go find an internship and let me know when you find one and we'll get you signed up. You know, for this one, I feel like it's kind of my duty to get some places kind of lined up with some ideas, because number one, these places that have CTRSs, they like for us to send them kind of a contract, a lot of them. So if I can get these contracts in place when we have a student that wants to do a CTRS internship, it can cut down on, like we had someone wanting to do one in the Meridian area. I think it was maybe this summer, and we can't do it because we don't have a memorandum of understanding with them in place. If we already had that in place, it would have worked out. They would have been placed, and that would have been that. So by getting this list together, I can get our form put together and start sending it out to these places. And then when people apply, it's going to be so much easier for students. So you're helping yourself if you choose to go the CTRS internship route. You're helping me by helping me build this, and I'm going to give you points for it. And you're helping students that are coming into the minor that end up going CTRS route too. So 50 points, 40 of the points are you giving me the information that's listed right there, and 10 points is going to be you just telling us about the two places you found. Make sure that they both have CTRSs on staff and provide therapeutic recreation services. Make sure that at least one of your two accepts interns for CTRS. Okay, just to clarify, make sure at least one of them accepts them. Some places have a CTRS and don't do internships. If you find that place, that's okay. You can use that for one, but one of them has to be somewhere we could send a student. Now, if you reach out to 4 or 5 places and you get down the line and they're all telling you, yeah, we usually do, but right now we're not doing internships because of COVID. That's fine. We can put them down. I can still contact them. I can still try to get something in place because we seem to be seeing a little light at the end of the tunnel on this COVID thing and restrictions easing and things like that. And I think a lot of this stuff's going to open back up. There's the story, and that's why we're doing that. So some of y'all heard that twice. and the ones of you who aren't here today, I hope that you catch this, and that's why I did that early in the talk, okay? Your little presentation in class is not a formal thing. I don't want you dressing. I just want you telling us the 2 places you found, some fun facts about them, who they serve, where they are, all the things that are listed right there. It should take us about 15 minutes of class for everybody to talk about their places. It shouldn't be hard. And just like I did in the other class, I'm going to do an edit right here. And for those of you that aren't here, you should be able to see it. The due date is 4/5, April 5th. So I'm going to go ahead and add that. Y'all having deja vu from 372? I did exactly this in the last class because I meant to have it. Huh? No, that's up here. That's when we're going to talk about it. So let's do this. Let's bold that. Let's red that. And let's bold, underline, and red that. Okay, so now that'll help y'all remember. You've got, what, a good couple weeks to get that done. If you don't wait till the last minute, it shouldn't be hard. Don't be shy to call these places or email them to get this information. And don't don't make me look stupid by telling me that they accept CTRS interns and then me send them this paperwork and them be like, what? Because then I'm going to be not happy with you at all. So that's that. Okay. Also, don't forget, between now and the end of the semester, you're putting together this, it's through on the syllabus. The next thing that I'll be getting is your big grand finale. What's it even called on there? Geez, losing my mind. Your comprehensive treatment plan. Basically, it's got to have 3 goals, 3 objectives. From what you've given me, you're just going to have to kind of fix what you have, maybe add an objective, maybe change your goals, things like that. You're just going to spice everything up. You're going to give me more information about what you did, how you went through the whole API process, basically, to get your plan in motion, and then tell me what your client's going to be doing for the next X amount of time. Justify everything you're doing, things like that. Give me more information than you think I need. Make it pretty, and I'll be happy. So that's it for the comprehensive treatment plan. Don't forget, abbreviation quiz next Tuesday. Okay. Now, I'm going to, where I can be quiet for just a minute, I want to show y'all a YouTube video. It talks about using assessment to support children's social and emotional learning. This ties in for those of y'all who are in here with me for the whole afternoon, and you're in here for 372. We've been talking about social skills. So this video was interesting to me because it talks about assessments, and it kind of fits in with what we just talked about in the previous class. Now, for those of you who are not in 372, this is still a good video. Also, a funny note is you can tell what my kids watch. My little kid watches Blippi all the time and makes me want to smash every electronic in my house all the time. So let's make sure that I'm going to stop share and make sure that I'm where I want to be right now. Okay. We were. I actually had it right this time. Hopefully the volume's going to work. It did in the last class. So let's watch this, take a break, then we're going to do this Johari window, okay? Sound.
Whose name is on that? Maybe you can ask a friend to help you. Thank you. Oh.
Pay special attention to, think about what this class is. This is about assessments, okay? This whole class is about, that's our main focus in here. Now, so note how these people are doing assessments and pick up on any little tips you can, because believe it or not, you're gonna have to do assessments one day in some form or fashion. So any little things you can pick up, and you see some contrasting styles and things, I'll say that. You'll see one video or hear somebody talk and say, when you're doing your assessments, you don't want to make a big point of, you don't even really want them to see you writing on your clipboard or whatever. Right here, she's doing stuff, but she's working with a group of 5 or 6 kids. She has to have, you think in 5 minutes she's going to remember who did what? Situationally, she has to adjust. So she's in this case, she's got to have that clipboard if she wants to have something worth using at the end of it. So just keep that kind of in mind and just watch and see what you pick up as far as different things that they're doing with their assessments.
I try to look for observations of what can inform me on their progress socially and emotionally. Something I noticed today is that they are so into the routine without me having to model it for them or remind them. They are doing what they're supposed to do. They don't need me holding their hand through that. That was nice to see. I like to try to peer them, have them body model it, feel more comfortable with another child helping them. I've used picture supports through every step of the morning. I try to have a tool that helps them with whatever area they need when they're signing. They do have the option of using a name card from their cubby. If they forget their jobs, they can look at the reference chart. I try to have several options for them before they have to come to me and say, Ms. Healy, I don't know what to do, I need help. It's not just because there's 20 of them and it makes it easier for me, but in the long run, it's easier for them if they're able to do it independently. All set? Thanks, Ariana.
If they don't know what to do, they get frustrated. And
are you going to use that to help you with your last name or your first name? Okay. This morning, I went over to the chart where children were signing in, and just to check in to first see if they needed any assistance. It gives me an opportunity to have a conversation with them. How are you, Francesca? Are you feeling better? I haven't seen you in a long time.
I think it is so important to understand that teaching and learning does not begin or end at school. There's a whole part of the day that they spend at home. We need to know about those things in order to best help them in the classroom. There is a child, his mom just had a baby. We've noticed that his social emotional development in school has been greatly affected by all these changes going on. So we've been touching base with mom about 2 or 3 times a week about things that she's seeing at home and things that we're seeing in school, and trying to come up with ways that we can help him, adjust with these changes, how we can help him in school, how she can help him at home, making that homeschool connection with his learning and development.
Okay.
There are Sundays in the week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
At this point in the year, it's no longer about the content during morning meeting. I'm really trying to foster the independence and the leadership skills. Here are all the days of the week, but they're mixed up. So I'm going to ask you to fill in our sentences so you can tell us about the days of the week.
Tomorrow will be Thursday.
Let's give her 2 thumbs up. That was awesome. I like to give them a chance to do it by themselves. It's about fostering those social skills that are so important moving forward in first grade and beyond, that they're able to be leaders, they're able to have the confidence to say, I know this and I'm going to show you and all of my peers that I'm able to do this by myself.
I set up my classroom so the kids can be independent and engage in each area. I intentionally and explicitly describe each area. Over in the house area, we have some dress-up clothes where you can look at your reflections in the mirror. How to use each area. I try and break it down so kids know what is expected of them. And on the rug, with our rectangular prisms, we're gonna add some cars today, like this one. This is called an ambulance and a taxi. Maybe you can make a road for them. And if there's an ambulance coming, that taxi would have to move right out of the way, right?
10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100.
We talk about trying to challenge them, having them kind of push themselves and learn new things.
If we add yours to it, now how many groups of 10 do we have? 2. And how many cubes altogether? If we count 1 by 10, we have 10, 20. Good.
So I give them the challenge of how many more groups did we need to actually get to 100. And I knew that some of them would get it and some of them wouldn't. And I tried to wait, and so that's always the hard thing, the kids that like jump up with the answer right away. I've had to make myself slow down and give that wait time that the kids need to be able to give answers. My ongoing constant assessment of kids really helps me to be able to differentiate the questions that I ask or the way that I have kids respond, or preparing them to respond, to see the different ways that they need some feedback, to see how they're thinking. There are definitely students that push my buttons sometimes. That's where the patience thing comes in. I try to sit back. I do the, okay, give myself 10 seconds if they're really pushing it. And I really try to see what it is, because it's usually something behind the behavior. You want to do this? There's actually a girl today that is super smart, but she was having a tough time.
Okay, how about if I make it in dots for you and then you can trace over it? Will that help? Okay, so S, curve around and back.
And it turned out that she was having a hard time with the letter S, and when I looked at her paper, she had written it and erased it and written it and erased it. So I did it in dots for her, and once I did that, she was able to finish and do the rest of her work on her own, which I knew she could do.
I'm always observing as I teach. I'm looking for their reaction. It's a constant dance that you have to do to adjust on the fly. Some days it's easier than others. Some tasks are easier than others, but that's what I love about teaching. It's constantly changing. It's never stagnant. Who can raise a hand and tell me what comes next?
Okay, so let me get back here. Okay, I know you watched that and you're probably thinking, this is in a school. This isn't the type, we're not going to be teaching kids like that. But did you pick up, okay, she's working with, what did she say, first graders and, okay. You know who else has the mental capacity of a first grader? Someone with a developmental disability who may be 35 years old, someone who may have sustained a head injury in a car accident, someone who has dementia and is on the, the tail end of Alzheimer's or something like that. This stuff is not, you have to be able to generalize and realize that it's not just it's about mental age, and it's about competencies on things that they can do socially. And I like the way that, at one point she was like, asked a question and the kid didn't know, and she was like, well, could you ask a friend? It's just a very little slight nudge to get them to engage. And okay, our assessments to you guys, when you think assessment, is it just you meet a client or a patient or a person and you have your forms or you have your specific thing that you're wanting to find out that day, and it's a formal process and you're finding out something in specific and you do it in one sitting? No, I see some heads going no. When we are working with, and she made note of this, she said, I'm always assessing during my teaching. Okay. When they were doing the days of the week, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and you can look at the group, and I guarantee you, on some days when they do that activity, there's one or two of them that just aren't doing it, that are just sitting over there like this. And because I was probably that kid doing that some days when I was going through that at that stage of school, but they, that you are assessing where that child is or that particular person is at that moment in that day, and you're seeing how they are socializing and how they're acting and interacting, and whether or not in recreation therapy notes, when you say you end up in the field and you are in a facility where you are actually doing true recreation therapy and you have goals and objectives and you are you provide activities for your clients, you have to come back afterward and you have to write out a little, it's not a 10-page thing, but for each client that you worked with, you're going to say, Tommy was present today for our bingo game that we had for recreational therapy. He appeared to be less enthusiastic than usual. Initially, he did not want to participate in the activity, but once, with some encouragement, he eventually joined in, and by the end of the day, he was enjoying himself and had a great time. That may be your note for him for the day, okay? If you're trying to get him to engage, we're talking about social stuff here. You're trying to get him to engage, socialize, be present, do what you're asking him to do. So you're assessing how people are doing all the time. And you may need to write a little note, Tommy not participating, just boom. He doesn't know you're doing that. But while you're trying to run the activity, and you want to do these notes as quick as you can after the activity, because the more time that passes between then and when you write your notes, it's just like seeing a crime. You're going to forget what color shirt the person had on if too much time passes, or your mind's going to change it, because, you'll be more efficient, more effective if you are assessing what's going on and making any little notes that you need to make. So just realize that assessment is not just a formal process that happens only at the beginning of recreation therapy, because, we talk about API, assessment, planning, intervention, evaluation. Assessment happens first, evaluation happens last. Assessment happens all the time. You do a formal type assessment up front, yes. That's where you get your information to be able to do your planning, to write your goals, to write your objectives. That is going to be more of a formal assessment where but it may be a situation where your assessment is sitting down with them and having a talk and saying, hey, what do you like doing? Where are you from? What kind of things have you done as far as recreation in the past? What would you like to try to do? Does that seem like an assessment to y'all? Like just at first hand? It's not like one of these formal sheets, but are you getting something you can use and make a plan from? It doesn't have to be a form, a straight up form. I mean, you are getting a set assessment. That upfront assessment doesn't have to be necessarily one way or the other, but you need to document what you find out in it, because what you find out in that initial assessment is everything else you do with that patient builds off of that. So that's what's important. Remember that assessment is not just at the front. You're assessing constantly. You're seeing whether people are engaged. You're seeing whether or not they're making progress. And there's my spiel on assessment and kind of why we watched that, because I wanted y'all to see that there were things going on through that video that they were, I mean, when they, okay, I don't know, maybe I'm the only one that saw this. One little part in that video, she was talking about like the sections where you could put on costumes. You know, you can dress up like this or that. And there was one little boy, he had on glasses, and he was just like, he was just smug looking. Like, as the teacher in assessment, at that moment, she's probably like, I don't think he wants to do that. You know what I mean? You have made that assessment. Like, I saw it on his little face in that video. I don't know if anybody else saw him or not, but it was one little dude that I could tell was not too keen on playing dress up that day. So I'm going to, at this point, guys, that are not here, I'm going to go ahead and just stop the recording. We're going to do this Johari window. Not really a good thing for me to try to do over Zoom. You could try to do this once you are back at class and can get this from me. I want to give you a copy of it. I have enough copies for everybody. You can do this with a friend at home or something like that. It's kind of a fun thing to do. You will learn some things about yourself and about what other people may think about you or people's. Y'all have a good day, and I'll see you next class. Again, don't forget, if you're still with me, abbreviation test next Tuesday, number 2. It will not be the same. It's going to be, there may be some of the same, but there will be a lot of different ones. Signing off.